Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. My phone buzzed once and threw a number in my face. Payment request, $650 due by Friday. My stomach flipped so fast I almost dropped the phone. The group chat sat right under the notification like it was waiting. New message from Lena, all caps, full of exclamation points. I am Jess, 27, and in that moment I felt about 12. Not going to lie, money stress hits me like a punch. I opened the chat and the message was already exploding. Hey babes, daddy already paid for the whole Bachelorette weekend. Just send your part here so he gets reimbursed. The link sat under her message like a trap I was supposed to smile at. Something in my head whispered that the number looked wrong. The others moved faster than me like always. Paid. Done. Sent it, can't wait, this trip is going to be insane. Heart reactions stacked on her message, little approval stamps I could feel in my throat. Everyone sounded excited, like 650 was pocket change. I stared at the number and felt my chest tighten. Rent. Auto payment. Student loan. Groceries if I wanted to eat anything that was not instant noodles. This trip sat on top of everything like a brick. I told myself I was overreacting, then I opened my banking app. The balance loaded and my mouth went dry. If I sent that payment today, I had enough left for gas and maybe 2 basic grocery runs. Nothing extra, no safety net, no comfort. Just vibes and a beach weekend I was apparently obligated to fund. Lena dropped another message while I still stared at my balance. Daddy covered the rental and the activities already. He put it on his card so we wouldn't lose the booking. Just need everyone to send in their share by Friday so he's not stuck with it. She added a smiley and a heart like that softened the demand. On the screen it looked reasonable. In my body it felt like a shove. I typed, hey, is there a breakdown for the cost? I watched the dots blink under my half sentence. Erased it. Tried again. Hey, just checking, what all does the 650 cover? It still felt like I was accusing her of something. I hate that about myself. The second I push back, I feel rude. Another bridesmaid, Tara, beat me to it anyway. Damn girl, we're spoiling you. Laughing emoji, champagne emoji, ring emoji. Lena reacted with a crown and a heart. Y'all are the best, I seriously have the most supportive bridesmaids. I could practically hear her voice through the screen. Sweet on top, firm under it. We were not being asked, we were being told. I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the link. You know that buzzing feeling when your brain runs ahead of you? I kept doing quick math in my head like the numbers would change. If I skipped the trip, I could actually breathe for a month. If I went, I would smile in photos and eat ramen quietly after. I wish I could say I chose myself right then. Instead, I opened the payment page just to look. The form popped up with my name and the amount already loaded. Deadline at the top in bold. Friday. 3 days. No option for partial payment, no note that said if you can. Just a large button that might as well have said be a good friend. The chat pinged again while I hovered over it. Jess, you saw the link right. My name tagged, no question mark, no softening buffer. Heat crawled up my neck. Of course she noticed I had not responded yet. My thumb hovered above the keyboard. Yeah, I saw it. I sent that and nothing else. Immediate reply. Perfect. I know it seems like a lot, but daddy already fronted everything. If we don't pay him back by Friday, he loses the refund window. That part hooked me hard. Refund window. The phrase sounded official enough to shut my mouth. She made it sound like some strict policy we were all responsible for. I sat there and argued with myself instead of her. Maybe big group trips just cost this much now. Maybe I was the one out of touch. Maybe this was the price of being included. My brain flipped between irritation and guilt like a light switch. I thought about typing, can we see the breakdown? I imagined everyone reading it, rolling their eyes, calling me difficult in a separate chat. That picture felt more real than any spreadsheet. So I swallowed the question and typed something else. Just checking, is this everything for the weekend? I read it 3 times. Not too aggressive, not too pathetic, just slightly concerned. I hit send before I could chicken out again. Dots appeared under my message almost immediately. Lena replied in a long stream. Yep, this covers the house and the main activities. Daddy already booked the boat and the club package. You'll just need spending money and maybe tip money. That word maybe stuck with me more than anything. I could feel her trying to make it sound casual. Like this sum was already generous, like expecting clarity made me ungrateful. The others jumped back in before I processed it. Worth it. Once in a lifetime. Better be the wild day. St. weekend of our lives. I sat there reading their messages while my chest tightened again. I noticed something small that I almost ignored. She said this covers the house and the main activities. Not everything. Not clearly. Pieces, not the full picture. Dad covered the bookings. We covered Dad. Anything outside that vague little cloud of main activities was a mystery. I scrolled back up and reread her first message. Daddy already paid for the whole Bachelorette weekend. Now she was saying house and main activities. Little shift. Tiny crack. If you have ever talked yourself out of a red flag, you know that feeling. You see it, then you blink, and suddenly it feels rude to mention. My heart beat a little faster, but I still told myself I was just being dramatic. I put the phone down, then grabbed it again. Opened my notes app and started a fake budget list. Rent, bills, gas, the trip. I tried to make the numbers work like a puzzle. All I managed to do was prove the obvious. This payment would hurt. Not ruin me, but leave me exposed. No cushion for emergencies, no space for mistakes, nothing. I hated that I was even thinking the word emergency about a party. Anger flickered up for a second. Why was I twisted in knots while she threw around phrases like Daddy covered it? Why did I feel cheap for noticing the difference between covered and fronted? That anger felt dangerous, so I pushed it down. Stop being petty, I told myself out loud. You agreed to be in the wedding, this comes with it. I wish I had listened to that first flash instead of the guilt. The chat fell quiet for a while. My message sat there with a few likes, nothing else. I could feel the pressure to hit that payment button building in the silence. No one said it out loud, but I knew how this group worked. The faster you paid, the more loyal you looked. The slower you moved, the more your name came up in private. I did not have proof of that, just a familiar itch in my spine. My screen lit up again. New message from Lena, directed only at me. Text me when you send it. Just that. No emoji this time. Short, precise, very clear. Something inside me finally balked. Not enough to say no, just enough to stall. Still juggling some stuff, I wrote back. I might need until Friday. I stared at the dots as she typed. They popped up. Disappeared. Popped up again. I had no idea why that made my pulse race, but it did. You can have until Friday, she finally wrote. Just please don't make Daddy chase people for money. That line. It landed hard. Like she had just shifted the blame ahead of time. If anything went wrong, it would be on whoever made Daddy chase. In other words, me. I dropped the phone on the bed and pressed my hands over my face. I knew I was being manipulated, I just did not want to name it yet. Naming it would mean deciding what to do about it. And honestly, in that moment, I still wanted the easy route. I wanted to be the chill bridesmaid who rolls with it. Not the one who asked for receipts. Not the one who turns a party into an argument. That is the part that stings while I write this now. I saw the warning signs and I backed away from them on purpose. I picked up my phone again and opened the payment screen one more time. My thumb hovered over the button. I watched the spinning icon like it might answer for me. My chest felt heavy, my brain buzzing with a low constant hum. Right then, before I could decide, my screen flashed with an incoming call. Lena. Her name covered the payment page like a verdict. I knew exactly what that call would be about. And I knew this was the moment where things would stop being polite. I let the call ring twice before swiping. Hey. My voice came out thin like it had crawled through gravel. There was a tiny pause on her side, just long enough to feel intentional. You sound stressed. I almost laughed because yeah, obviously. Just a long day. I tried to sound casual, tried to sound like $650 was not sitting between us. She let that hang for a beat, then went straight for it. So about the payment. My grip tightened around the phone. Here it was. No small talk, no warm-up, just the thing I had tried to stall. I know it's a chunk, she started, her tone soft but very controlled. Honestly though, Daddy really went out on a limb for this. There it was again. That invisible man in a suit used like a shield. I felt my teeth clench. I did not even know why that detail bugged me so much, but it did. I'm going to send it by Friday, I said. I rushed the words like I needed to prove something. She exhaled loudly, not quite relief, not quite annoyance. I just had to check, she replied. Because a couple of the girls jumped on it right away. The way she said that made my ears burn. I knew exactly which girls she meant, the ones who never blinked at bottle service or last-minute flights. I answered, and my voice shaved down sharper than I meant. Another beat of silence, longer this time. Is it hard for you right now? She dropped the question so carefully, like she was giving me an opening. On the surface it sounded kind. Underneath it felt like a trap. I swallowed once, twice. I could tell her the truth. Say rent and bills and empty fridge. Risk the pity and the gossip that would follow. Or I could swallow it again, like every other time I bit my tongue. It's tight, I admitted, because lying outright felt worse. But I'll manage. The second the words left my mouth, I regretted them. They sounded like a promise I had not agreed to. She pounced on that tiny crack. You know you can just tell me if you can't swing it, she replied, voice smooth. No one wants you miserable over a party. For a second I thought she meant it. Then she added one more line. If it's out of your range, I can always ask someone else to step in. That hit like a slap. Someone else. As in another person in my place. My throat closed. So either cough up or get replaced, I thought, because that is what it sounded like. Out loud I only managed one word. Wow. She rushed in quickly, like she had heard the edge in it. Not in a mean way, she insisted. It's just bridesmaids are a big commitment. You know that. This is where I wish I had pushed back. Where I wish I had said, actually no, there are limits. Instead I felt myself shrink. Right, I answered. My free hand picked at a loose thread on my shirt. So what are we talking about here? Her tone shifted, more serious now. I just need to know you're all in, she replied. I can't have half energy from people standing next to me. Half energy. Cool. Because that is what not sending $650 in 2 hours meant now. I bit the inside of my cheek so hard I tasted metal. I said I'll send it by Friday, I repeated. My voice dropped lower, almost flat. She must have heard something in it, because her next line came out sharper. If it's a money thing, just say that. Her words started coming quicker now, like stones rolling down a hill. You work full-time. You live alone. You don't have kids. She listed my life like a lawyer building a case. Most people in your situation would be fine with this. That part cut deep. Most people. Meaning the problem was probably me. That is how my brain translated it. I could feel heat rising up my neck. Please do not make assumptions about my account, I replied. I heard my own tone and almost startled myself. Firm, not apologizing. She went quiet for a breath. Then she laughed light and airy, like I was being dramatic. Relax, she said. I'm just saying, if you're struggling, I wish you would have told me before you agreed to everything. The word struggling landed heavy. It did not sound concerned. It sounded judgmental. I stared at the wall and imagined her pacing around, phone pressed to her ear, annoyed that I was not just saying, no problem. I did not know the price when I agreed, I answered. There it was. My first real push. Not a huge one, but enough. She went quiet again, then dropped the line that stuck with me for days. If you can't afford it, just say so. Her tone was cool, almost bored. Like we were discussing concert tickets, not loyalty. I froze. That sentence twisted every insecurity I had about money and worth. If I admit it, I'm the broke friend who can't keep up. If I deny it, I'm cornered into paying. For a few seconds, I honestly did not know which would humiliate me more. My silence must have stretched because she filled it fast. No one will be mad, she continued. You just won't be in all the stuff. All the stuff. The phrase sounded childish and threatening at the same time. Photos. Trip. Bridal party. Years of friendship wrapped in that vague little package. Honestly, it might even be a relief for you, she added. As long as you tell me soon so I can adjust. There was that word again. Replaceable. Swappable. Not a person, more like a slot in her wedding lineup. I heard myself answer before I had actually decided. I can afford it. My voice came out steady, which annoyed me almost as much as everything else. Then what is the hesitation, she asked, and now the sweetness was gone. There's always something with you and plans. That part stung in a different way. It reached back to every time I had hesitated. Every night I had begged off a late bar run to save a little cash. Every moment I had tried to quietly protect myself turned into proof that I was difficult. I felt something snap inside my chest. Fine, I said. I'll send it tonight. The words tasted wrong even as I spoke them. They tasted like defeat. But I knew once they were out, they were real. She brightened instantly, voice lifting like a switch had flipped. I knew you'd come through. I told Daddy I wasn't worried about you. That sentence made me feel small and weirdly watched. Like there had been a whole extra conversation about my finances without me in the room. My fingers dug into the side of the mattress. Yeah, I replied because what else was left to say? We're going to have the best time, she continued. You won't even think about the cost once we get there. I almost commented on how easy that was for her to say. Money always feels theoretical to the person not cutting back on groceries. Instead, I just let her words wash over me. They sounded like a script she had used on people before. She wrapped it up fast once she thought she had my commitment. So send it after we hang up, she added. Just text me a screenshot so I can mark you down. Mark you down. As if this were some spreadsheet and I was a line item. I muttered something vague. Sure. We disconnected with a quick goodbye that did not feel warm. The second the call ended, the quiet in my room felt heavy. I stared at my reflection in the dark screen for a few seconds. I looked furious and exhausted at the same time. Then the payment notification popped back up like a reminder of my own weakness. I opened it. Typed in my details with stiff fingers. My hand trembled a little over the confirmation button. I caught myself holding my breath. My head screamed not to do it, every practical part of me begging for one pause, one more question. I pressed it anyway. The processing icon spun. Then the receipt flashed across the screen, cold and final. I had just traded a chunk of security for the chance not to be the difficult one. A new message came in almost immediately. Got it. She attached a string of hearts and a little bride emoji. My chest tightened for a second, then went oddly numb. On paper, nothing huge had happened. Money moved from one place to another, everyone still friends, no one yelling. But looking back now, that call was the moment the ground shifted under the whole friendship. I just didn't recognize the crack until it split wide open later. Mia dropped the bomb in the middle of my lunch break. A screenshot slid into our bridesmaid group chat with no explanation. Then a second message from her, just 3 words. Tell me I'm wrong. My pulse jumped before I even opened the picture. The image loaded slow, like it knew I was about to regret tapping it. At the top there was a title in big bold letters. Bachelorette Weekend Budget Final. Rows. Columns. My eyes locked on 2 headings. Dad's card on the left. Bridesmaids' contributions on the right. For a second, I did not really process the numbers. My brain just floated over them like they were in another language. Then one total hit me straight in the chest. The amount under Dad's card matched the full amount she had asked from us combined. Not close. Not approximate. Down to the last dollar. I zoomed in so far the text went a little blurry. My throat tightened. If his side already covered everything listed in the main section, what exactly were we paying for? Mia broke the silence first. Please tell me I'm misreading this, she wrote. A little dot popped up while she kept typing. She left this open on her laptop when I was helping with invites. She went to grab a charger and I saw my name on there. I stared at the screen, felt my stomach twist, and still tried to rationalize. Maybe it was an old version. Maybe the totals meant something else. I scrolled down. That is when I found the part that really made my skin crawl. There was a separate section in the sheet. Different heading. Extras covered by Bridesmaids. Under that were line items that made my jaw clench. Spray tan package for bride. Upgraded hair and makeup for bride. Custom robe for bride. Pre-trip salon appointment. There was even a line called Misk Bride Comfort Fund. The amount next to that one was ridiculous. Easily what I spent on rent in a month. I felt my face go hot. Our transfers were not filling some gap to help her father. We were bankrolling her luxury add-ons and a personal cushion. I wanted to throw my phone, and at the same time I wanted to study every line. Another message from Mia popped up. There's literally a note on the side, she added. I scrolled to the margin and saw a little comment bubble. When I tapped it, a side note appeared. Use girls' payments so dad doesn't freak out over extras. I swear I heard something crack in my head when I read that. Not dramatic. Just this small sharp break in how I looked at her. Mia sent a rapid chain of texts after that. I get splitting stuff. I don't get being told this is to reimburse her dad, when he's already paying the actual trip and we're funding her glam stash. My hands shook over the keyboard. Every reply I drafted went in circles. Maybe she just labeled it weird. Maybe her dad insisted and she feels bad. I'm sure there's an explanation. I typed each version, hovered, then erased. Because deep down I knew exactly what it looked like. She had framed our money as necessary payback when the real plan was to redirect it to her own extras. The others started reacting with shocked emojis, but no one spoke first. You could feel everyone waiting to see who would actually type words. Finally, Tara dropped something in the chat. Wow. Then a second message. I thought our money was going toward the rental and stuff. That and stuff made my chest ache a little. Because that is exactly how she had sold it. Vague enough to keep us from asking questions. Clear enough to make us feel guilty if we did. Mia answered her. It looks like the rental and main plans are on her dad's side. She budgeted our transfers for beauty upgrades and some mystery cushion. Someone else reacted with the exploding head emoji. Someone else sent the eye emoji. No one said, okay, this is wrong, we need to confront her. I understood why. Calling it out would start something none of us could take back. Mia pinged me privately a few seconds later. A separate thread opened under her name. You saw the comment, right? She literally wrote that note about keeping him calm. I rubbed my forehead hard like I could erase the whole screen. Yeah, I wrote back. My fingers hovered, then I added more. I don't like how this looks. Looks not is. Even in text I was softening it. She replied almost instantly. Am I crazy for being pissed, she asked. I already wired my money. Same here. But I could not bring myself to type that yet. It felt humiliating to admit I had gone along so fast. Instead, I tried to slow her down, probably more for me than for her. Let's breathe for a second, I wrote. Maybe this is just her tracking sheet and she worded it badly. Even as I sent it, it felt weak. Mia did not let it slide. She wrote that note, she pushed. She knows exactly what she's doing. I wanted to argue, but nothing came. Because she was right. That little side comment killed most of the benefit of the doubt. The main chat pinged again before I could respond. Lena dropped a cheerful message like she was reading from a totally different script. Hey babes, she wrote. My dad just told me the weekend is actually way more than he thought. He's being a total hero and covering everything still. But it would mean a lot if no one complained about the price. I stared at that last line until my eyes burned. No one complained. We had not even asked real questions yet. And she was already trying to shut down any that might come. Mia reacted with a thumbs up, which confused me for a second. Then I realized she was playing it cool in public. Her next private message to me explained it. Saving this for later, she wrote. Something feels off and I want receipts. Receipts. That word jolted me. Because honestly, if she had not caught that sheet, we would have had nothing. Just vibes and defensiveness, and a lot of you must have misunderstood. I quietly saved the screenshot to my own phone. Not in my main gallery. In a hidden album I barely use. It felt dramatic at the time. Now it feels like the only smart thing I did in this whole mess. In the main chat, another bridesmaid chimed in. "Thank your dad for us," she wrote. "We appreciate him fronting everything." There it was again, that word. Fronting. Like our transfers were refunding him directly, not filtering through her wish list. I watched the typing dots pop up under Lena's name, then disappear, then show up again. Finally, she replied. "He just wants me to have the perfect send-off," she wrote. "I'm so grateful you guys are helping make it happen." Helping. That part really stuck. Because helping implies honesty, choice, consent, not quietly rerouting money behind some spreadsheet password. I almost dropped a question right there. "Hey, could you post a breakdown for everyone?" It hovered in my mind like a loaded dart. I knew exactly how she would take it. As an accusation, not a simple request. The energy in the chat had already gone weird. Too many emojis. Not enough real sentences. No one wanted to be the first one to poke the bear. So we did what people often do in group dynamics like that. We let it simmer. We reacted instead of speaking. We sent hearts and exclamation marks as a cover for our silence. Looking back, that spreadsheet should have been the boiling point. The moment we shut everything down and demanded straight answers. Instead, it turned into a quiet shared secret between a few of us. A secret that followed us straight into that weekend and made every toast taste a little off. The shuttle door slid open and Lena screamed before I could stand. "Bachelorette weekend, let's go." She grabbed my wrist and yanked me toward the house like we were running late for something sacred. Her dad waited near the entry, phone in one hand, keycards in the other. I felt that familiar pinch in my chest, walking toward the man we were supposedly paying back. He handed out the keys with a practiced smile. "I've got everything covered on my end," he said, tucking his wallet away. Lena looped her arm through his like a commercial. "See, this is why I needed you girls to send your part," she announced. The others cheered and clapped, and I stood there hoping my face didn't show what I knew from that spreadsheet. Within an hour, he was ordering snacks, mixers, all of it on his card. Every time the total came up, Lena slid in front of the screen. "Just put it on his tab," she chirped, patting his arm. She tucked every printout into a neat little folder she had packed just for that. I watched her put away each slip like it was cash. Later, while we were getting ready to go out, she tapped a glass with a spoon to get everyone quiet. "Quick thing." She stood in the middle of the room and lifted her phone. "Thank you again for sending your contributions on time," she announced, looking straight at me for half a second. "Everything is prepaid and locked in, so no canceling now." She laughed at her own line, but the sound didn't feel light. Non-refundable. There it was, dropped in the room like a rule written in permanent ink. Dinner that night set the tone even more. The server laid the check on the table, and before anyone touched their wallets, her dad reached for it. "Don't worry, I've got the girls," he said, already pulling out his card. Lena snatched the receipt before it landed, folding it and sliding it into that same folder. She leaned toward us with a bright grin. "You see how much he's doing," she whispered. "Now you get why I asked for what I did." My jaw worked, but no sound came out. We had barely paid for anything with our own cards yet. Everything big went through him, everything small through her running tally. Back in the house, she perched at the counter with that folder open. Lines of ink, totals, little notes I couldn't read from where I stood. Mia drifted toward me with a plastic cup in her hand and fake excitement on her face. "She's tracking every dollar," she murmured without looking at me. Her lips didn't match the cheerful tone coming from the rest of the room. I knew we were both thinking about that note in the margin of the sheet. The next morning, a party shuttle pulled up out front. Her dad handed the driver a wad of bills before we even climbed in. "Gratuity up front so no one worries later," he told us. The driver thanked him, and Lena made sure we all watched the exchange. "See," she called out. "He's spoiling us." Then almost too quickly, she added one more line. "Which is why complaining about what you sent would be super tacky." No one had complained out loud. That warning still landed. On the boat, more charges went through him. Packages, snacks, overpriced drinks, everything waved off with a quick swipe. I dipped into my own cash only once to tip someone who helped me up after I almost slipped. It hit me then that my own bank account had taken the biggest hit before we even left town. Out there on the water, most of our actual spending belonged to him. Our transfers existed in her folder, not at the bar. On the way back, Mia leaned close, her hair whipping around her face. "Tell me I'm not imagining this," she muttered. "His card, her receipts, our money." I stared straight ahead because if I met her eyes, I might say too much. "You're not," I answered. My fingers dug into the seat. "But if we bring it up now, this whole trip explodes." She went quiet at that, chewing the inside of her cheek, gaze locked on Lena laughing at the front of the shuttle. We both knew we were postponing a fight that was already waiting for us. "The booking isn't in our system." The hostess glanced up from the screen, then back down, then up again. Lena's whole body went stiff beside me. "We confirmed weeks ago." Her voice cut through the noise hard enough that a few heads turned. The hostess kept her tone neutral. "I'm not seeing your name or the number you gave us." Lena gripped the edge of the stand, knuckles tight. "We have a table for 10 inside with the package." Her dad stepped forward before she could wind up further. "Is there anything open right now?" He slid a card toward the counter like this was routine. "We'll figure out the rest later." Watching that with everything I knew about the budget file made my stomach twist. He signed without hesitating, then followed us to a long table they cleared in the back. Lena walked ahead like she was leading a march. "Crisis handled," she announced once we sat. She lifted her glass and forced a laugh. "See, Daddy takes care of us." Mia's jaw twitched. She waited until menus were down and drinks were ordered. Then she leaned over the table, eyes locked on Lena. "Funny," she started, voice light but tight. "I thought today's brunch was already paid in your budget." The word budget hung there like something flammable. A fork scraped against a plate louder than it needed to. Lena blinked slow. "What?" She said it soft, dangerous. Mia didn't back down. "In your file," she went on. "Brunch was listed under your dad's column, not ours." My pulse kicked up. I nudged her ankle under the table, a tiny plea tea. "Oh wait." She ignored it. "Maybe I misread," she added, eyes never leaving Lena's face. But it looked like he already had this covered. Conversations around us thinned to a murmur. Everyone pretended to study the menu. No one was actually reading. Lena gave a quick smile that didn't reach anywhere real. "You were snooping in my personal stuff," she replied. 1. Rude. 2. You clearly don't understand how much this weekend costs. Mia's lips parted. "I saw the totals," she answered. Her hand shook slightly as she reached for her water. "And the note about using our transfers so he would freak out." That last part came out sharper than she probably meant. Still, she did not correct it. Her dad had been talking to the server at the end of the table. At that word he stopped. "Freak." His gaze slid from Mia to his daughter with a calm that made my skin prickle. "What note?" Quiet question. Everyone heard it. Lena's attention snapped to him. "It's nothing," she said quickly, waving a hand. "Just something in my planning doc." He didn't look away. "What planning doc?" I watched her throat move as she swallowed. "It's just my way of keeping track," she rushed on. "You know how much has gone on your card. I used the girls' payments to even things out so you wouldn't get stressed." That word again. Stressed. Edited version of what she had actually typed. Mia set her cup down harder than she meant to. "Then why label our money as an emergency fund for you?" she asked. "And charge us for your glam upgrades on top of everything." A couple of the bridesmaids shifted in their seats. One stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Another stared down at her napkin like it might save her. Her dad's eyes narrowed just slightly. "Show me," he said. No anger. No shouting. Just that. Lena hesitated. Her hand drifted toward her bag, then pulled back. "It's not that serious," she tried. "It's just how I organized everything." Everyone agreed to the amount. Mia had her phone out before Lena finished. She tapped a few times, then turned the screen toward him. "I took a snapshot when I noticed my name," she told him. Her voice shook on that last part. "Because it made me uncomfortable." He studied the display for a long 10 seconds. Too long. The air around the table felt heavy. I watched his expression shift from confusion to understanding to something colder. He zoomed in on the side note, the one about keeping him from panicking over extras. His jaw set. Is this accurate? He asked quietly. Lena made a strangled sound. It's being taken out of context, she threw out. You know I exaggerate when I joke. This whole thing is Mia twisting it to make me look bad. Mia actually laughed once, a short bitter sound. You're the one who wrote it, she snapped. You asked us for $650 each, told us it was to pay him back, and then parked our transfers in your little personal stash. Her hands were flat on the table now. No one signed up to bankroll your comfort fund. The word comfort hit hard. I saw two of the girls trade quick looks. Lena's face went bright and tight. Wow, she shot back. So now I'm a scammer because I tried to have a nice weekend. She turned toward me like she expected backup. Jess, are you really going to sit there and let her attack me? Every eye swung my way. My tongue felt heavy in my mouth. I could have told the full truth right then. Said it bothered me from the second I saw that file. Admitted that the payment strained me, and the lying made it worse. Instead, I froze. I think the money stuff got confusing, I managed. Not exactly courageous. Not exactly a lie. Just weak. Her dad watched me for a moment, then looked back at his daughter. They shouldn't be confused, he stated. His voice stayed low, which honestly scared me more than if he had raised it. If I cover a bill, I cover it. No one owes me backdoor reimbursements. Lena's jaw trembled. You're making this into a bigger deal than it is, she insisted. It's my celebration. I'm allowed to budget for myself. Mia's chair scraped as she shifted forward. Budget your own money, she fired back. Don't hijack ours and hide behind him. She jerked her chin toward the end of the table. He lifted a hand, palm out, and everything stopped. That's enough for now, he said. He slid his card toward the server again without taking his eyes off Lena. I'll take today's tab. Separately. The word hung in the space between them. He turned to the rest of us. For the record, he added, voice tired. I never asked any of you for a cent. If you felt pressured, that didn't come from me. A fresh wave of shame washed through me. Because that part was true. The pressure came from the person smiling in every photo. The one we were here to celebrate. Lena pushed back her chair so fast it bumped the table. I'm done talking about this, she snapped. If you want to ruin my weekend over a stupid document, that's on you. She grabbed her bag and walked off toward the restroom, shoulders rigid. No one followed. We just sat there in a weird, heavy quiet, pretending to study the dessert menu we weren't going to order from. And I knew, sitting at that table with my untouched drink, that whatever happened with the wedding after this, we had crossed a line we weren't coming back from. The photographer yelled for Bridesmaids to squeeze in, and I forced a smile. My cheeks ached, my shoulders locked, my bouquet shook just enough to annoy me. Lena beamed in the center, veil perfect, makeup flawless, like brunch had never happened. I could feel the lie in the picture before the flash went off. 2 spots along the line were empty. Different dresses had been ordered for those girls, space saved, roles assigned. They got sick, according to her version, but we knew why their chairs stayed unused. She had not mentioned them once all morning. She moved through the ceremony on autopilot. Laughing a beat too loud, hugging a beat too long, checking every angle. Right before we walked down the aisle, my phone buzzed in my clutch. A new message from her glowed on the screen. Let's keep today positive. Whatever drama happened on the trip is over. I need you happy for me. No mention of the spreadsheet, the confrontation, the fact that 2 women had bailated after brunch. Just this expectation that I would patch the mood with a grin. At the reception, her dad worked the room like a quiet manager. He handled envelopes, checked on vendors, spoke low to staff, never lingering near her table long. I caught one moment by the bar, him sliding a tip over with tired eyes. Bill to me, he told the coordinator. Not her. Something in my chest went strange when I heard that. Relief for him, maybe. Embarrassment for myself. Because he was doing exactly what he had said at brunch, while I still remembered letting her push me into that transfer. Lena did a quick thank you to my amazing friends over the microphone. She called us generous, called herself blessed, called the weekend perfect except for some negativity. Her gaze skimmed right over me on that last part, like a warning wrapped in a toast. She never brought up refunds. Never even hinted at adjusting anything after being caught. We danced, we posed, we clapped at speeches, but it all felt thin. Every time she grabbed my hands and screamed along to some chorus, I saw that note from her file in my head. Use girls' payments so dad doesn't freak out. By the time I made it home that night, my feet hurt and my brain buzzed. I dropped my bag on the floor, kicked off my shoes, and sank onto the couch still half in the dress. My account balance flashed through my thoughts, then Mia's face at brunch, then her dad's voice saying no one owed him. The more I replayed it, the more stupid and angry I felt. I opened my phone, thumb hovering over our group chat, then pulled back. Anything I typed there would get spun, minimized, thrown back at me later. So I tapped a different app instead. New post. Title bar blinking at the top. My fingers moved before I fully decided. AITA for letting my friend charge us $650 each for her bachelorette when her dad already covered everything. I started typing the story you're reading now, hands unsteady, heart pounding way harder than it should for an internet post. Because honestly, I needed someone outside that circle to tell me if this was actually insane. Or if I really was just the negative bridesmaid who finally stopped pretending everything was fine.